The end of the first portage here. About to make our first paddle strokes out there onto Mccleary Lake. Thank you for tuning into my latest video here, our second trip on the Bowron Lakes circuit. I'm filming you, you're filming me. 3:40 in the afternoon, campsite number 1, day 1. Wave goodbye. Gorgeous morning here on day 2 on Mccleary Lake. It is 0800 exactly. We had a really nice afternoon and evening at the cabin here. Oh, and we have the majestic American bald eagle here to the left. I'm going to turn the canoe. He's blending in that shoreline. Oh, he's moving his wings. Here we go. Waving at us. Here we go. Universal symbol of freedom right there. A little bit of Americana in this Canadiana. The beginning of Indian Point Lake, site number 4, just across this bay. Such a gorgeous day here on Indian Point Lake. Last time we came through here, we had perfect weather just like this. And then about halfway across this bay, a storm slammed us, coming over the crest of that mountain right there in center view. Came over that hill, that mountain, and came down hard on us. We got caught out in that storm, and it was a mad dash to set up our bivouac site at Camp 4. We were going to go to the end of the lake that day, but Mother Nature had other ideas. Just had a quick break at Site 4, where we spent the first night on a trip last year, or not last year, last time, in 2016. Our aim today is to make it all the way to Site 18 on Isaac Lake, but the weather would have to hold just like this to make it that far. It is currently 11:20. And still a gorgeous day. Originally, we planned to push all the way to 18, like I mentioned earlier, and then we saw just how amazing this cabin is here at number 8, and most importantly, this view. So we're gonna stay here for the rest of the day and night. There's 2 tent pads, shitter in the back over there, bear bin. There's currently a campfire ban here, so let's ignore that. And if you had to, you could probably set up a 3rd tent right there. But this view is why we're staying here. We're at the west end of Indian Point, just before the channel into the 3rd Portage. We are here at 8. We're going to aim for 20, which is just off the map right there. thanks to this topographical map, I figured it's about 17.5 kilometers if you take a break at 15A. If not, I measured it to be about 16 to go a more direct route. And still, take a look at this view. Nice little stove in here. Morning of day 3, campsite 8. Exactly 2 years ago today, we started the Bowron Lake circuit for the first time. It's really shallow through here. I had to switch up and use my backup paddle. Can't even get a full deep stroke in here. Might bottom out a few parts. And the current to this narrow section is going against us. You can see the orange marker there, marking out the Portage route, or pardon me, the channel route. That's what I was trying to say. Got some kind of animal track here. That might be a bullwinkle track. you going to do me the solid of warning me about the cold water this time?
Yeah, this time, no problem.
You're not going to fool me twice. Oh, some nice mist in there. That's probably the glacier water hitting the slightly warmer water of the lake. Nice cold mist. I think that sign says Isaac Portage. Yep. Like a pro. This is campsite 9 at the beginning of the Isaac Lake Portage. Another reminder of the fire ban. We're just here at site 10 at the end of the third portage and the beginning of Isaac Lake. This is the west arm looking towards the east, maybe northeast. Just a gorgeous day here too. So after 3 portages in 3 days, none of that crap for at least 2. The very end of that third portage was a muddy nightmare. It was pretty harsh. I'm going to stay close to the north bank where it's closer to the sites. So if we get cut out in bad weather, we don't have to paddle as far. The South Shore only has 1 site until you get to the main arm, whereas there's 3 or 4 on the north. And I can see off in the distance, just to my right, there are people at the one and only site on the south bank. I don't know if this camera's picking it up, but they're right at the 12 o'clock. "9:20 a.m. It's amazing how clear and calm this water is. That there is site 17. This is quite nice here. Little creek running through. One tent pad so far. And a nice looking cabin. Nice bed outside if you want the bugs to sleep with you. Ooh. The lighting in here is poor. Bunk bed, racks, fireplace. There we go. Oh, there's a second tent pad right there. It's now 3:47. Still on day 3. We're on our way to site number 20, where there's a cabin. We stayed there for a rest break 2 years ago, so we're familiar with it. And if my map and compass is correct, my orientation means that that point right in front of us should be site number 20. We've had considerable tailwind today that has made our progress much easier. There were some points where the tailwind was so strong it looked like we were in a moving river. We were clipping along pretty good at a fast jog. We still got the tailwind, as you can see. Now it's picking up again. Well, like I mentioned, we were going to find the cabin at site 20, and it was already full and overloaded with black flies. So those men can have it, and all them flies with it. We're here trying to find site 21A. We stayed at this site last time we did the circuit. I believe it was night number 3? Yeah, night number 3 last time. And we just can't seem to find it right now. We think it's at our 12 o'clock, but it could be closer. If you can see it, let me know in the comment section below. And then tag me so you're directing me where I need to go. Thank you. I definitely jinxed myself by saying in my kit review video that off wasn't too important, because on the last trip there was very few mosquitoes or any other type of bugs. However, this year it's been horrendous here on Isaac Lake. We're at site 21A, and I'm dressed for the occasion. Site 15A was even worse. 18 with the cabin was almost as bad, and this is only slightly better. 20 was pretty bad as well, but it was occupied and full. So we found this one and it's just us. He's dressed to impress as well. Good night. It's been a long day. I think we were on the water and portaging for 9 or 10 hours. And it's currently 6:07 p.m. Focus. Ave, can you get my camera to focus for me? Thank you. Yeah, it's 6:10 in the morning. And the bugs are still in bed. Yeah, 0800. August 7th. Holy crap, that's a lot of smoke. Took us just under an hour to get here to Site 22.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for telling me. I know you know these things, but you know, the viewers, they might not. Again, throw a comment in the comment section below and tag me. Let me know how long it took you to get from 21A to 22. We're only a few minutes away here from Site 23. Some people here packing up to get started on the day. And it's only 09:17. And there's a woodlot sign just to our left. We're making excellent time this morning. And yes, that haze in the air is not moisture, it's smoke. Smokey the Bear would not be impressed. The trees weren't like this 2 years ago. So we're pretty sure that this is the aftermath of a avalanche this past year. Some of these bent over trees got a little bit of green on them, so I'm thinking just a few months ago. It illustrates the power of an avalanche. We are now at Site 24. And it is 10:13. And anyone working for, I think it's the NYPD, might say, ooh, 1013, that's not a good number. Site 25. We took a half an hour break over at 24. It's now 11:09. It is now 11:23, and we're about to approach the infamous Site 26. If you're not sure what I mean by that, watch my previous Bowron Lakes circuit video from 2016. You'll get a pretty good idea what I mean. It's so early in the day, we're definitely not staying here again. But definitely gonna stop and reminisce on what was and what could have been. Shoreline's changed significantly since we were here last. This little section here was where the raging river came through, where it was originally a creek and flowed out that way. And this is where we set up the lean-to, took shelter. I remember there was a ground fluctuation right here that was quite a bit different, a little bit lower down. Curt's tent was originally right there before it got relocated. And my tent was right there. And I can remember the water actually coming through here and around that way. Wow, this really changed. It's flowing a lot more water this year. Very beautiful. But you can see flash flooding here is a common occurrence. We ended up walking our tents down this way because we didn't feel safe if there was a second storm that hit us last time. So just at that little point there is where we ended up setting up our tents and spending the night. Just didn't trust Mother Nature that night. She was a bit moody. It is now 1 p.m. and we are at the end of the lake, about to stop and prepare to decide whether we're going to run the chute or not. We just saw one canoe go around the corner. They're doing the chute right now. We've made excellent time leaving Site 21A right at 8 a.m. That is Site 30 at the end of the Shootin' Roller Coaster Portage. This is Mccleary Lake right here, and just on the other side of Curt, because he's conveniently in my way, is the cabin we wanted to stay at, but it's currently occupied. We're gonna try and push to 32 or 34 and see what happens there. It's getting late though. Currently at 4:34. We actually made it here to Site 31 with the cabin. There was only one couple here, and they set in their tent right there. So we're occupying the cabin for them, making it homely. We're probably going to spend the night here and all of tomorrow for a rest day. I say probably because, as you can probably tell, no plan survives first contact with Mother Nature. I'll show you more of this in another time. It is just past 8:35 in the evening here at the cabin at 31. The smoke is a little worse than this camera's picking up, but a little bit better than it was earlier today. Over this way is, of course, the outhouse, or as the sign says, toilet. And this one is one of the worst on the circuit for stench, but pretty good for privacy and how far away it is from the main camping area. But I'm walking up here to show you this, which I found quite interesting, and I think viewers should know it's here. So if you take this trail in an emergency situation, it takes you back to the beginning of the chute. There's site 32. Well, if you're busy killing flies in your boat, you want to climb over to my boat and kill them for me? I don't know. Is ordering up KFC too much to ask way out here? Curt seems to think it's not too much. I'm a little bit more of a realist. Site number 33, marked by the white sign, meaning a group site. There's the creek, featured in my previous video, last time we did Bowron. And that's 34, right where Curt's docking his canoe. And it's really smoky still. Last time we were here at 34, there was a small group of, I think, 4 or 5 from Ireland that were camped right here. And I think there too. Didn't get to meet them or talk to them, but they seemed like really nice people. I think this is going to be our home for the rest of the day and night. These canoeists out here in the middle of the lake aren't particularly bright. It's very dangerous to be in the middle of the lake, especially in winds like this. Because if they tip, it's quite the swim to get to shore. There's another canoe out there even farther. Again, they're taking their life into their own hands with this. I do not recommend being in the middle of a lake at any time unless you're trying to cross it. Stick close to the shoreline. It's only 0600 here at site 34. Thanks to the bug situation, we are ready to roll out. Beautiful calm morning, just like usual. Oh, and there's Curt. Look at that beautiful sky. It is now 8:08. We're at the end of Msr Lake. And that there in the distance is the narrow point where the lake turns to the river. And Site 37 is located. We made great time getting down here from 34. We left exactly 2 hours ago. Site 37A here on Sandy Lake. It's just after 10 a.m. and the smoke is horrible. This is also on Sandy Lake, right at the end of it. And I stopped here because I saw this professionally made bench, or at least built to a professional standard, and it looked curious to me. Just leaving Site 39, and that's the end of the lake right there at the narrow point. Beginning of, I think it's the continuation of the Caribou River, but then it splits off into Babcock Creek. And if you continue down the Caribou River, Una Lake is on the left, and there's a bunch of sites there. You can take the hike over to, I think it's called Crystal Falls. We're not going to go that way. We didn't last time. We're going to push right through into Babcock Creek. Do the Portage, which I think is 1.2K. Head out to Babcock Lake. Final 2 portages. And we're aiming for Site 44 today, which is where we spent our last night on the circuit last time. And where I got that amazing shot of that sunset. There's a bald eagle up in that tree in the middle. This is the entrance to Babcock Creek, hence the sign. And over there is a gray looking roof, and that's a ranger shack or park operator. And as you can see, I'm lining my canoe because it's too shallow. Off that way is Una Lake's entrance. Freezing cold water. Like my little tootsies. Oh my gosh. And my genitalia got a little bit of a splash too. Hashtag shrinkage. Sign here on the right says Babcock Lake, Portage, 200 meters ahead. So I'm thinking it's 200 meters ahead to Babcock Portage. I think? Yeah, let's go with that. Aren't I wise? Or maybe just a smart ass. Probably the latter. It is now 3:37. We're at site 44. We stayed here on our last night, on our last trip. And as you can see, we're sharing the site. We had quite a long day, starting at push off was just after 6. Glad to be done for the day. And this is where the epic sunset was in the last video I did here in Bowron. I held my iPhone and recorded it right from here. We left camp extra early. It is now 06:18. This here is site 45. Nice little site on this point. And the access to the next lake It's right there. Although you can't tell, but it's there.
I think it's a little shallow here.
That's better. It's coffee time at 7:32. This is Swan Lake, and that rough outline of a hill that kind of looks like a big zit is Bowron Mountain. Yet another American bald eagle on his perch, showing us the ways of freedom. Eyeballing me. Site 50 right there. And site 51 right there. A group site. And a woodlot right there. And that's the way we came right there. We're just pulling in here to 52. Have some lunch before moving on. It's currently 10:47. So I guess you could call this brunch. This is the beginning of the Bowron River, near the end of the circuit. This here is the end of the river, beginning of Bowron Lake. I believe it's 6.5 kilometers to go until the end of the lake. We are nearing the end of the Bowron Lake and the whole circuit. I just want to share with you what I've learned on this trip about the things I brought and the things I probably should have. First off, that axe you can see in the near ground. Didn't end up using it because of the fire ban. I knew the fire ban was on before we got here. I brought it anyways just in case I did need it. Ended up being completely redundant because I never needed it other than to nail in a few pegs setting up a tent. I still recommend people bring one even during a fire ban because the cabins and the cooking structures do have stoves in them, and the park operators did tell us that we were allowed to use them even though there was a fire ban. Also, completely redundant and a waste of time and space and weight was the tripod stool I featured in my kit video. I brought that mostly out of habit. We typically go camping on crown land where there's no established camping area, and it becomes very, very handy. And of course out here with very well established camping pads, there are seating options available, including one really nice bench that I showed on this video near the end of the circuit. I also wasn't very impressed with my Msr water filter. It works, and it works really well, and it's user-friendly, with the exception of it takes forever to actually pump water. And the time it took Curt to pump around 5 liters of water with his, I got 600 milliliters. It's ridiculously slow. So I'm gonna get something like his, and you should find a link in the description below as to what he uses, what he has. And I'll probably get something like that or exactly that. I say might because they're quite expensive. But I'm not going to throw out my Msr pump because that could be handy in my emergency bag that I keep available for natural disasters and such. I also reconfigured my kit. I stopped putting my food in the watertight kit barrel simply because it's a bit cumbersome to try and get quick access to the food that way. And when you're on the move all day long, quick access to food is kind of important. So my bedding went from the black bag into the kit barrel, and my food went from the kit barrel to the black bag. It also made more sense inside those bear bins because a bag that can be pressed against and collapse quite easily is therefore not going to waste any space, whereas the kit barrel, obviously the size is the size and it takes up a lot of space inside the bear bins. Other than that, I was very happy with everything I brought, and I definitely recommend you use the same or similar products that I use on these trips. Most notably this canoe from Clipper, and this camera from Sony. It's an A6000. I love it. Oh, and finally, the beer can or pop canned cup handle thing that I jerry-rigged and mentioned in my kit video. Didn't use it at all. You know, beer's not allowed out here, right? But for other trips, it'll be handy. It just wasn't handy at all for this one. So it basically wasted some space as well. I mentioned in my kit review video that off wasn't particularly important because of the bug situation. Last time we did this was very minimal, which is true, except this year was the polar opposite. The bug situation, particularly horseflies and black flies, were quite horrendous. All the way from site 15A on Isaac Lake right until site 44, where we had our last night. I want to thank you very much for watching this video, and please hit the like button, share and subscribe if you wish. I would appreciate it. And again, you definitely got to come out here. It's spectacular and absolutely priceless, which is why we've done it twice now and plan on doing it more.